breaking news coming out of Northeast D.C. involving Amtrak service, which is suspended between D.C. and Philadelphia after 2 people were struck and killed on the tracks near Union Station overnight.
Now, we're hearing those victims were CSX employees. They were hit just before midnight along the 1200 block of New York Avenue.
We have team coverage this morning on this story. Melanie Alwick live at the scene. Kristen Leon at Union Station tracking the impact this is all having on Amtrak service. Let's start, though, with Melanie.
Well, Stephen Allison, I just got off the phone with a representative from CSX who did confirm to me, indeed, that these were 2 CSX employees. He did tell me, though, that they were not track workers. They were crew members of a CSX train that was on the tracks parallel to that Amtrak train that was coming through at about 11:18 last night. CSX saying that they are deeply saddened by the loss of their 2 workers, but the investigation is still going on, trying to figure out exactly why those 2 workers were on the tracks. They are train crew members, freight train crew members. So you can see here behind me still a very active investigation. We've seen people here from the Federal Railroad Administration, from the NTSB, the Office of the Chief Medical Examiner, still back behind those tracks there. It's sort of just beyond the bend here, behind the mobile station. That is where they're working. You're seeing this overhead shot as well. A little hard to see with the glare of the sun, but definitely lots of work still here to do. Also, a lot of information from people that were on the train tweeting out that they felt a bump, and then the train came to a screeching halt. And the conductor saying that someone had been struck on the tracks. A lot of people waiting several hours before they could get off the train and on to another destination. But the train was only about 3 minutes from Union Station. Amtrak says that its train's crew did not sustain any injuries, nor did any of the 121 passengers aboard. But still a lot of questions at this hour in terms of what was going on with this CSX train and why those 2 employees were on the tracks and why the Amtrak train didn't know about it. There are a lot of residual impacts as well, and for that, we're going to go to my colleague Kristen Leon at Union Station.
Good morning, Melanie. A lot of passengers here waiting at Union Station, some of them waiting 20 to 30 minutes to even board their train. A lot of them, like I mentioned, are even checking their departures right now. You can see here on the message board that a lot of these trains, particularly the 2 lines, Penn Line and Camden Line, have been canceled. Some of them are delayed at this time. So again, if you're waiting around, hoping to get to work from here, making pit stops along the way to New York, this is what you should expect here. And also joining me now today, I spoke with a passenger today, Brian Ludwig. So Brian, you're trying to get on the train heading to work at this time, correct?
Yeah, I'm trying to get on an Amtrak train to New York. I actually was scheduled for the 4 a.m. This morning, which is an early train, and got here, and they had mentioned that the 3:15 train, which had boarded that Amtrak train to New York, had not departed. Around 4:45, they told us that we were going to be delayed, and we have since been delayed more and more. And I'm now scheduled for a 7:25 departure, which seems like is once again delayed. So we'll see what happens.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So you've waited essentially what? It sounds like, if I'm doing my math correctly, an hour or so, or 2.
Well, it took about 45 minutes to find out that our initial train was canceled.
Okay.
Yes.
And have you ever waited in a long line like this before? Not even in a long line, but just waited to board your train again, in this case, to get to work?
I don't generally take the train that often, I should say, but I've traveled by air quite frequently, so I'm used to delays, I suppose. Having been to plenty of airports, I think it's pretty common practice, and they've been fairly transparent here, so I think it's somewhat.
Right. And my understanding, you're hoping to go to a U2 concert tonight in New York, so we need to get you on that train, hopefully as soon as possible, correct?
Eventually, yeah, after a day of work, if I can get up there.
Okay.
Ideally.
Very good, Brian. Well, again, we're wishing you luck, and just stand by. Obviously, you're doing the right thing, and Yeah, good luck making it to New York in this case.
Thank you so much.
Okay. So again, this is the very latest. We just heard from Brian on his experience waiting to board the Amtrak. But if you are here in this area, the Camden line and the Penn line, those are the two that have been suspended. However, when it comes to the Penn line, I want to go over that with you right now. Two trains, the 401 and 505, they are operating, but they're only going to New Carrollton. So again, keep that in mind, waiting to board and commute here this morning. Guys?
Kristen, thanks very much. It's